Hello everybody, welcome to class today. This is our second class in the 8 Limbs of Yoga series. So come join me in a cross-legged position on the mat, bringing your right hand to nestle into your left hand, bringing your thumbs to touch, and closing your eyes. The niyamas are the second limb, and where the yamas were sort of the don'ts of the 8 limb system about the way we interacted with the world, the niyamas are observances that help us understand ourselves better and really help us to evolve ourselves. They're what help us connect to why we're here, who we are, how change impacts us. And today we're going to unpack all of those niyamas. There is 5 of them, just like there are 5 yama. And we're going to start with svadhyaya, which svadhyaya is self-study or introspection. Svadhyaya is anything that encourages us to look inward and to learn about ourselves, to question ourselves. It's basically asking, how well do I know myself, and how can I know myself better? So we're going to begin with just a really short meditation. So go ahead and deepen your breath. Focus on your breathing. And maybe ask yourself, how well do I know myself? Is there anything I want to know more about myself? What are ways I can learn more about myself? Go ahead and keep breathing. Just contemplating self-study and what you would want to know more about yourself. We don't start class with meditation very often, but it can be a good tool to center ourselves for the rest of our practice. Take a few more deep breaths here. And when you're ready, open the eyes and bring your hands to your knees, and we're just going to do some seated cat-cows here, broadening across the chest on the inhale and curling back through the spine on the exhale. Imagine you're being punched in the gut on the exhale and shine your heart forward on the inhale. There's no real right or wrong way to do these, just matching our breath to our movement to continue to get grounded for this class. And on your last exhale, straighten the spine and come to hands and knees. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists, hips are over your knees, firm up through your core, lengthen your spine. And we're just going to do some more cat-cows here. So inhaling your heart forward and exhaling, curling your spine up to the sky. The yamas are one of my favorite tools in the whole 8 limb system because they've enabled me to understand myself better. Curl your toes under, keep your knees bent, and push yourself up into downward dog. Go ahead and walk out your dog a little bit. Do whatever movements you need, and then come forward into plank. And we're going to come down into forearm plank. We had a nice meditation to begin, and now we're starting with some work. We're going to bring our hands together. We're going to link the thumbs, almost like we're making a butterfly with our hands. And we're going to come and hold plank. So keep the mudra, keep breathing. And while we are here, going to talk about tapas, which if you've heard of any of the niyamas in any class, you might have heard of tapas. Tapas means fire, change, transformation. And planks are challenging poses. They force you to confront anything that needs change. Maybe that's a weak core, maybe that's something else. Go ahead and lower your knees to the ground and tuck your arms close into your chest. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders into Sphinx pose. Well done. Go ahead and grab a journal if you have one with you, and we're going to take a little bit of time. You can either stay resting in Sphinx, or you can grab a journal and do a little bit of journaling with me. We're going to go back to Svadhyaya for a moment and maybe journal about how well you know yourself, whatever reflections you had in the meditation. You can journal about that, or if you'd like to journal a little bit about tapas, maybe journal about anything you've gone through in your life that has changed you. And this could be small things. This could be you created a new habit, or you stopped eating sugar, or this could be big things. This could be the death of a beloved family member, or a breakup, or any sort of trauma. Life doesn't let any of us get by without a little bit of tapas or change. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of life. What matters is how we confront it and how we work through it and who we are on the other side of it. And just take a few more moments to journal here. Go ahead and set your journal to the side, and we're going to move into crocodile pose, which we're just going to lay down on our bellies. We're going to bring our hands to prayer and extend them out overhead. If you want to roll up a blanket to put under your hips, that can be really lovely here. But this pose is perfectly representative of our next niyama, which is Ishvara Pradidhana, which basically means letting go, surrendering to a higher power, holding things with open hands. And this higher power could be God, could be the universe, or it could just be acknowledging that there are forces outside of our control, outside of our knowledge. I like to think of Ishvara Pradidhana as holding things with open hands and acknowledging that there are things outside of me that work in my life just as strongly as anything else. Ishvara Pradidhana also asks us if we're holding on to anything too tightly. Maybe we're holding on to friendships or a partner or an identity or a belief about ourselves so tightly that it's actually damaging us or limiting us. Ishvara Pradidhana allows us to let go of things to enable us to live our best lives, for lack of a better phrase. Continue to breathe here, feeling your whole chest expand. In this practice, we're bouncing back and forth a little bit between ease and a little bit of hard work, and then ease again. Beautiful. Go ahead and bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up into a baby cobra, and we're just going to swing our legs around and come into a forward fold. So if you want to grab your journal again, go ahead. I love to journal in a really gentle forward fold. So if you want to put a blanket underneath your hips as well to give your pelvis a forward tilt, that's beautiful. On your next inhale, lengthen your arms up overhead and fold forward, keeping your spine as straight as possible. And then begin to journal. We're going to do a little bit of journaling on Ishvara Pradidhana here. Spend a little bit of time thinking about what are you holding on to a little too tightly? It can be a triggering question. I know the first few times I dwelled on the idea of Ishvara Pratidhana, I was confronted with a few things I was holding on to too tightly. But take a few moments now and journal on that. And if you don't have your journal, or this question is a little too much for you to deal with today, no problem. Just fold forward into your version of a forward fold and breathe here. Go ahead and set your journal aside. Scooch forward onto the mat, bending your knees, and we're just going to gently roll back down to lying down and pulling our heels closer to our bum. Make sure you can reach your heels with your fingertips and then maybe scoot your heels a little bit out. We're going to come into some dynamic bridges. So on your inhale, you're going to press up into bridge, lifting your arms over your head. And on your exhale, you're going to lower everything back down to the mat. Continue to lift up into bridge on your own inhale and exhaling down. With every inhale up, make sure you're engaging your inner thighs so your knees stay directly in line with your hips. Beautiful. And now we're just going to come into a full bridge. So lift up into bridge, keeping your hands by your sides. And if you like, you can come into a mudra, bringing your pointer finger and thumb to touch. This is our Jnana Mudra. And here we're going to discuss santosha, contentment, peace. I think that's what we all aim for, is peace in our lives. And while it's easy on the surface to think contentment is achievable, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it takes us a little bit of thinking and feeling to find contentment. But the easiest way to achieve contentment is through gratitude. So go ahead and release the mudra. Pull your knees into your chest. And we're going to just roll like a ball up to boat pose. Just hold that for a moment. Engaging through your collarbone. Beautiful. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And then we're just going to release down into butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of feet together, knees apart. Grab your journal. And this is a pretty simple one. I just want you to journal about what you're grateful for today. That could be big things, like your home or your spouse or what you had for breakfast. And it could be small things. It could be the sound of your child laughing. It could be a favorite pen that you use for journaling. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong here. Just spend the next few minutes journaling a little bit about what you are grateful for. And before we move on, I want you also to think about, is there anything distracting you or hindering you from who you want to be? This is our next niyama, also known as saucha. We're going to come into a pose for this in a moment, but just journal off the top of your head if there's anything that's maybe distracting you from who you are, who you want to be. I think we all have those. It could be Facebook, it could be social media, it could be hobbies that don't serve us, it could be maybe eating sugar, it could be a negative relationship. Just take a few seconds and journal about that. Just preliminary. Beautiful. Go ahead and put your journal aside. And we're going to finish on another easy note. Bring your knees together and gently roll back to your back. We're going to bring our thumbs into our palms for this mudra. Bring our hands to rest by our bums. And then just lift your legs up into the sky. If you're near a wall, you can do legs up the wall. But this is how we're going to finish our class. We're going to be here for the next couple of minutes. I mentioned saucha just a moment ago as our last niyama, which translated means purity. And this can be thought about best as distractions, which is why I asked the question about, is there anything distracting you? Saucha basically asks you if you are living and embodying your values, if your priorities and what's important to you are really what form the structure of your life. And sometimes they are, and sometimes they aren't. But it's a good reflection to look at our life and begin to make changes. Go ahead and close your eyes here. And think about what you want your life to look like and what you can do to make that happen now. Go ahead and release the mudra. Hug your knees into your chest, giving yourself a little squeeze. And then gently press yourself up or roll yourself up to a seated position. Bringing your hands to heart center in prayer. Thank you so much for practicing with me, and I will see you next time. Have a lovely day.